Okay, so sacred geometry, the pyramids of Egypt, and now I'll do a focus on the king's chamber and show you an aspect of it which will connect to so many other, especially the metrology, the ancient systems of weight and measure and how they connect, not only join the Great Pyramids, but also will connect to precession or the Great Year. And as always, the Vesica Pisces being this wonderful way to approach it. And so I've drawn these before in other videos, but anyway, so we'll do a construction line. We draw, now to draw a Vesica, just set your compass and we leave it always at the same setting in this case. And there we have the Vesica 2 circles with the center of the second on the edge of the first. Now I'm going to draw another one here as well, and just to, because I've drawn it in other videos, so I won't go through all the steps. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a cheat, and I'll grab a set square. Okay, so now with the Vesica, because, well, it's the radius 1 to 3 and it's 1 to high, so we have this 2 to 3 ratio, and so now we'll just, now I've shown it in other to create the rectangle to do it properly, but I'm just going to do it in cheat a little bit just to illustrate the point, because it's not so, we just want to do the create that rectangle. I can just do that with a set square, and again I'm just doing this just to illustrate the point. You should do this better. Again, I've drawn it before in several other videos, so we can just skip that. What we have is this 2 to 3 rectangle. I'm just going to shoot freehand just to get that in. So we know that it's at a ratio of 2 to 3, which is also the perfect fifth, also called the Hermetic constant, so the geometry connects to other features as well. But with this first one, so with the construction line, we also have the center of the circle and the center of the circle there, and so the natural divisions of this would be as so. And so just like it's at a 2 to 3 ratio, we're sort of creating this, 1, 2. So now what we have here is a 2 to 1 ratio, which is the ratio of the floor plan of the king's chamber or upper chamber, whichever way down. Again, I'm just going to cheat a little, again, just to illustrate the point. And another important natural breakup of this is the, so we saw where we broke it up into these, I'll just think of it as a checkerboard, but also we can cut it down the middle. This is again built into the design of this. It's not you can create any sort of pattern really, but this is like the natural pattern of it. Now what we now have is what we've created is a 3, 4, 5 ratio, as in a so that would be 3, 4, 5. Now this pyramid or triangle is also Cathrade's pyramid as well, so that's a nice connection. But what we have is 3, 4, 5 and this 2 to 1 ratio, which is a nice aspect because, okay, well now I'll use an animation to explain it, but yeah, so the 2 to 1 ratio being the floor plan of the king's chamber, and the 3, 4, 5 triangle well, this now creates the height of the Great Pyramid, and also incorporates the 3, 4, 5 first of the Pythagorean triplets. But there's more to that, because it also then will connect to these ancient sets of measure and bring us to some very harmonic numbers, especially some very, well, the essential numbers in regards to precession or the great year.
Okay, so having drawn the Vesica, the 2 to 3, the perfect fifth in music theory, the Hermetic constant as it's called, and it appears so often, but let's have a look at not just the Great Pyramid, but the pyramids, and including the Red Pyramid especially. So there we have of the surviving of the Great Pyramids, of the the largest ones. But what do we have? So firstly, the Red Pyramid, the height of the Great Pyramid in relation to the base of the Red Pyramid is at this 3 to 2 ratio. The 3 to 2 ratio also gives us the height to base of Khafre's pyramid as well. And that gives us the 3 to 3, 4, 5 Pythagorean triangle, Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The 3, 4, 5 triangle is the first of these Pythagorean triplets, but of course the Egyptian rope stretchers, it was known that they were using the 3, 4, 5 triangle to measure land. However, it's not kosher to say that they understood Pythagorean theorem. But it also appears in the upper or the king's chamber, and for instance there we see, now that's where it gets interesting, because how it connects to the Vesica, or the vessel of the fish, this important construction in sacred geometry. Now let's just make this a bit bigger, get these out of the way. Okay, so we have the Vesica, and there we have a model of the king's chamber, or the upper chamber. Now if we bring in, okay, so as I showed in the Vesica, we have that 2 to 1 ratio, one of the natural divisions of there, and which gives us the base of that 2 to 1 ratio gives us the base of the upper chamber, which is 10 cubits wide, 10 Egyptian royal cubits by 20 Egyptian royal cubits long. However, if we also add, we tilt that, so there we have the Vesica giving us the 3, 4, 5 triangle, again one of the natural divisions of the Vesica, and if we place that in the king's chamber, we get the corner to corner, which is a nice coincidence. I showed that in the 3, 4, 5 triangle, for instance. Now that on itself is pretty cool. However, which brings us back to the 2 to 3 ratio. Okay, so I've mentioned a lot the Salamis stone, the Doric, Ionic, and Samian measures, but also how it incorporates the modern foot. So for instance, that is one allegedly modern foot, and that goes back, well, a long time. We've already seen the proportions there of the Red Pyramid, the Great Pyramid, and the 2 to 3 ratio. If we do well, it gives us how the Vesica and the hexagon gives us lovely connections to the royal cubit itself, and 273. Now I want to get more into that, and also, well, 75 centimeters is 29.53 if we round it off there. But again, I want to go into more in that in regards to pendulums. What's the actual exact cubit based on the survey of Petrie and J.H. Cole, but I'll get to that. But how important the meter, or as well as pi, is. So instance, the capstone of the Red Pyramid was 1 meter high. Now you can see there how under the care, and I inverted commas, of Zoe Hawass, this was basically defaced and changed. But we have 1 meter high and pi over 2 meters wide, which is, well, cubits again. But so it's 2 to 3, but also so as a conversion point between multiple sets of measurement. And now I'd like to bring in one of the other measurement systems. So it's been suggested that this was used in Stonehenge Phase 1. This is the Persian, as it's called, but also the Longfoot. So what I mean by that, okay, so what's the height of the King's Chamber? And just, I should note now, what we have is these paving stones. Now around, so from the, okay, pardon the model there, I'm a little bit off. That should be sort of, anyway, so this 3, 4, 5 triangle should be touching there. I just did this model quickly just to illustrate the point. What we have is the height of the King's Chamber. Okay, so what we have, so you have the floor, but around the floor there's a groove. And again, the flooring and the paving stones there has been a little bit of shenanigans going on, but so the height of the chamber itself, once you do the sums, brings us to somewhere, but well, 19.008 feet. Depending on the measures that you use, you're going to get somewhere between 19.007 and 19.009. Now, so 001 feet is 1/3 of a millimeter. So you're talking hair width, well within the margins of error. But that 19.08 feet in the long scale converts to these numbers. And if you're familiar with our channel or precession harmonics, these numbers should ring a bell. But what happens if we, okay, so let's get that one out of the way. So what is a Persian or a Longfoot, which again, in Stonehenge Phase 1, well, one Persian or Longfoot is 1.056 feet. 1056 over 2 is 528, 5,280 feet per mile, and 32 rods is 528 feet. Again, I've gone into that in the other, but this is a lovely number. It describes the Earth and so many other things. Okay, and also, well, 1056 is 33 times 32. Again, Portolan mapping and so many other, especially in Masonic traditions, 33 and 32 being such a lovely set of numbers. Now, what's also interesting is that at 440 cubits, by definition, because the actual length of each face of a pyramid changes slightly, so that needs to be taken into account. But for instance, if you keep breaking it down, divide it by 2, the smallest division you'll get is 55 Royal Egyptian cubits. So 8 segments on each side. If you divide it again, that would be 27.5. So, but interestingly, that will create 32 around the 33rd central point, 33 and 32. But be that as it may, because again, each side of a pyramid is slightly different. It's too often the measures are rounded off to exactly 756 feet. It's not exactly 756 feet on any side. No survey has ever found that. But if you include the variations, what you get is perfection in pi, phi, and so many other elements, and the pendulum time, and well, yeah. But now, what else do we have? Okay, so the columns of the Parthenon. I did a video series on this, so you could also include Sanchi Stupa, so many other ancient sites all across the world up until the modern period. Modern architecture, especially those with strong connections to the esoteric, let's say, embeds not only these proportions, but also these numbers. So for instance, the columns of a Parthenon create a 3:11 ratio, and so does the Great Pyramid itself. We get this free, which now we're squaring the circle, and that's creates this. So what we have there, and well, again, I've done it in others, and other people have gone into it, but what we have is also, so the Great Pyramid also gives us proportions of the Earth to the Moon at 1 to 0.272727 on to infinity. Now, that's nice because in chain, and remember Gunter's chain, and I've done, again, other videos on that, and that brings us to beautiful numbers again. Well, on the allegedly modern scale, that's 0.288. All these numbers, that's just your ABC, 1, 2, 3 of your harmonics. Now, for instance, in the long scale, 288, let me see, 288 there, that's a nice connect. Well, that will always be in harmony, but Earth, Moon, pyramids, Parthenon, Sanchi Stupa, blah, 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 on it goes. But as again, the precessional quality, so the great year, the precession of the equinoxes is called 72 years is 1 degree of precession. Each Platonic month, so each age, we're now entering the age of Aquarius, 2,160 years, 216, and one Platonic season, 6,480 years. Now again, each one of these numbers, as well as those, is just overflowing with information. Sun, Earth, Moon, New Jerusalem, the Ark of Utnapishtim described in the Epic of Gilgamesh, lovely geometric, musical, arithmetic, and astronomy all comes in at these numbers spectacularly. And so again, 72, 216, these are it. Now again, each one of these I could go on. I've done them ad nauseum previously, but so the King's Chamber, not only do we have Pythagorean 3, 4, 5 triangles, the Vesica proportions, and these, now each one of these, so with the 3, 4 rectangle of this here, we can get the Lucas numbers, and from this we could build a Fibonacci spiral. So again, from these natural divisions of the Vesica, you're going straight towards phi based knowledge, and also perfect phi can be very, very easily calculated with simple geometry from these things. So yeah, but not only is the proportions, but also the metrology, and again, it just harmonizes with so many ancient sites across the world, and of course not just the Great Pyramid, but the pyramids inside and out. So it's just it just goes on and on. The Salamis stone, awesome stuff. And yep, so there's not really too much to add to that. I'll put this down. Yeah, you just follow it through, and the measures, the proportions, and all the other information that goes with it, including the bent pyramid and Pythagorean, Platonic solids, and how that emerges from there, and of course, well, music theory, the Delium problem, even the bent pyramid. It's in numbers, it's in geometry, it's the quadrivium, and it really does go on. Now I've done these in earlier videos, but phi, pi, again, 36, 72, 108, which is half of 216, but it all just blends so beautifully, perfectly into one another. And so, okay, hope you enjoyed and have a good one. I'll add this to I did a series, an Ancient Legacy, and I'll add this to the end of that series because it does blend into it. But, well, what can you say? Cheerio.